my right, thousands by my side. War between good and evil, watching our fists.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with a Ghost. I'm Ghost, your favorite airsoft playing spectrum, and here we talk about everything airsoft hobby and sport related. Hope everybody is doing good out there and had a great time this past weekend playing airsoft. And today we're going to have a very interesting episode. We're going to talk about veterans playing airsoft and the reflection of airsoft in correlation with PTSD and a veteran's perspective of it and how it could actually possibly help a lot of veterans out there. So we're going to get right into it. Now you might be sitting back and asking, Ghost, what does airsoft have to do with PTSD? That's a really interesting jump that you're making there. Well, in my opinion, actually has a lot to do with it. So we're going to get right into this. Now here on Coffee with a Ghost, I'm going to put this out there. We try to do our best to have fun. That is usually how we try to do our episodes. Today we're going to be a little bit more serious about it because I think this is a subject that deserves a little bit more serious talk to it, a little bit more personal connection out there. Now, with the seriousness with this, we're going to get, right to the deep part of it. According to the National Center for PTSD, we did a study recently on, PTSD and not just among veterans, but civilians. It is slightly more common among veterans to have PTSD than civilians. Of course, there's civilians out there that have post-traumatic stress disorder. This is not a condition that is limited by any means to just veterans. But one of the harder, scarier things is at some point in their life, 7 out of 100 veterans will suffer from the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder. That equals to 7%. Now, this is where the numbers get scarier, folks. And we're just going to jump right into it so we can get right through this. As a study recently done by the Veterans Affairs Administration, on an average, 17 to 22 veterans commit suicide from PTSD-related conditions right now in our country. Now, you heard the numbers right there. I'm gonna let that sink in. 17 to 22 veterans per day take their lives because of related conditions to post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm not going to throw TBI in there because I believe traumatic brain injury would actually make that 17 to 22 go higher. I don't want to say officially because I haven't seen a statistic where they really combine effectively. But I think that is just a horrific number. I don't even know how to emphasize, through this type of media, how just awful that is. One was too many. These numbers are being calculated, from my understanding when I was doing my research, from World War II into Vietnam and then post-era. These are patriots. These are young men and women at a certain time in their lives that put everything on the line to defend our freedoms. That's something we've got to do something about. And I believe in the airsoft community, we can actually step up and do a lot with that. Now, this is a subject matter that hits me pretty close to home. As some of you may know, or you might be new to the page, or just haven't caught where I've talked about it. I personally am a veteran. I served 10 and a half years in the military. I come from a military family. My father retired from military service after more than 20 years. My grandfather served, and when we did, the type of ancestry, it seemed like my family has almost fought in every conflict that America's had. And I'm very proud of my service. Wholeheartedly am I proud of what I did. I have chewed dirt on more continents than most people will ever be to. I have stood that line and proudly pushed it for our country. And when I came home, I was medically discharged from an injury to my right eye and to the right side of my body. Not to get into details, but there were some other hidden injuries that started to affect me later on that really caused some interesting transitions, as you could say, into the civilian world, and one of those being post-traumatic stress disorder, the other being a traumatic brain injury, and sometimes they do coincide, not always. But for me, it did. I was very lucky, and I'm still lucky to this day. I have an amazing, amazing family, amazing friends out there. My support system is just tremendous, and I have had, for the most part, some pretty good experiences at the VA and getting help and being able to do and get past to a point of what it's like. But just like anybody else that suffers from this, I have my good days and I have my bad days. And that's where I rely and lean on my friends. But I have found a almost refuge in the hobby of airsoft. I've joked with people in a way it's almost therapeutic for a veteran. And I want to get into that and how airsoft and PTSD can have such an interesting correlation, especially for veterans. So now let's get into what it does. First off, we're going to do it like points. I think the first thing we have to talk about and why it's helpful for, in my opinion, all this again is from my opinion. I am not, let me put this out there right now. I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor. If you need help, and we will talk a little bit more about that in a second, I encourage you to go talk to somebody. Reach out. There are so many great organizations from the VFW to the American Legion to the VA to many, many, many more. Please, please seek out help. But with airsoft, I believe it could almost be, in a way, plus. It's a great hobby to get back. And if for anybody that served in a overseas condition, you understand what I mean by that term. Get back. We'll go a little bit more into that. But I think one of the first things we have to talk about here is the fun of airsoft. Airsoft is such a neat hobby, especially from a veteran's perspective. I entered this, and when I had a buddy, and I'm going to give a big shout out to him because he knew I was going through some hard times at that point. Cutter, you know who you are. He really pushed me to get out and go, man, this isn't what you're thinking. It's not going to take you to that. It's a much different environment. I'm like, okay, man, I got a little bit of concerns. I didn't quite know how I was going to react out there. And I had a blast. And for me, all of a sudden, it was like I was that little kid again in the backyard holding a broom handle as a rifle going pow, 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 and running around with my boys. We've all remembered doing that as kids, or picking up Nerf guns or BB guns, whatever you had when you were growing up. If you're one of those rich kids, I remember they had like this crazy whole laser tag. I wasn't that kind of kid. So, but it was fun. It took skills that we already have installed as a veteran. And we were pushed so hard to take so serious for obvious reasons. I mean, of course. But now it was like we were giggling, enjoying ourselves again. And that is very important in the progression of understanding PTSD, because it's taking something that was possibly traumatic and almost helping you understand that you can approach it a different way. And that's really, really important to a lot of veterans. So keep going with this. Another way I think it's very, very, instrumental with veterans and helpful is friends, teams, the camaraderie of being out there also with other veterans. I was extremely shocked the first time I went out to the field and guys were coming up going, oh yeah, man, I served in Desert Storm. Or, oh yeah, dude, I have family members that were in the military. It's one reason I'm out here playing. It's not just guys that play Call of Duty, which is cool, that come out and play. It's not just that, like, one niche group. There's so many different people I've seen out playing airsoft, and it's such a friendly community. And being able to sit around and hang out and talk about airsoft replicas, the loadout gear, all that kind of stuff is just so, for me, it was like, again, taking something that was so serious before and turning it fun again. And it was like, wow, now I can just relax a little with doing this. Another is a new purpose. we're in the military very mission oriented type people. At least I know I am. I need a purpose. I need a mission. That's one reason I do YouTube now. It actually kind of forces me to get up and push myself outside my limits and to kind of get in the role of this. Anybody that's done YouTube or videos, you understand this is just a part of it. There's so much other behind the scenes things that go to any of these videos. And I'm just learning the tip of it. To be honest, I am just getting out there. But when it comes to airsoft, there can be so many different ways that you can find purpose, especially as a veteran with it. You can either join a team. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be a veterans team. There's lots of teams out there. You can get with a group of buddies and now you're out there and you are showing and teaching some of the things that we learned in the service, but again, in a fun manner. You're encouraging your other players in a lot of ways, like we encouraged each other back in the military. And you can take a lot of core things that were just simple to us, crossing the field in a certain movement, line unit compared to an arrow, wedge compared to a straight, improvised fighting position compared to a moving fighting position. These are all basic terms to military. But when people are new getting into airsoft, they're not so much. So now you have this purpose of, hey, dude, let me show you something. Come check this out. And another purpose I have to throw out there. I have not met a vet yet who does not like kids. We all love them. I mean, my God, I still remember walking into the house, looking at some of the most dangerous people I probably would want to walk into a bar with and go, you know what, anybody want to take me on? Let's do it. These are the guys I wanted behind my back. And here I am walking in my house going, guys, burgers are done on the grill. I look in, and there they are sitting there having a tea party with my daughter. I have yet to meet a military person that's like, I don't like kids. No, it doesn't, that's not who we are. And all of a sudden you're out on this airsoft fields and you see these little kids around. I'm telling you, one of my favorite things to do is to gather those little guys up, get them around me and go, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's like huddling a small peewee football team with airsoft rifles. And we're going to, we go through it and you see one of these kids smile after they do it right. And they get there and they capture that flag or they hold that position or whatever type of, game you're playing. It is so 100% worth it. You cannot walk away not feeling good. I know it sounds selfish on me, and I'm getting my kicks off of little kids running military actions. Well, it's not like that. To me, it's passing on one knowledge in the sport. It keeps you encouraged and playing with it, and dude, it's just fun. Again, back to the fun. That is such a big thing because sometimes, PTSD, you lock yourself away. And you don't want to really be out there. You're not trying to get out and about. But with airsoft, you're out and about in an environment that you actually understand a lot more than you think. But here you are enjoying it and having fun. All right. So, who's moving on with this? There's a lot of people out there I'm hoping to watch in this video that aren't necessarily veterans, but you're associated with airsoft. You either are a player or an observer, or maybe you own a field. I'm hoping a couple people on the field watch my videos. It'd be nice. Or you own a big company. You could be sitting back right now going, okay, well, if there's a lot of veterans showing up into this hobby and this sport, what can we do to encourage that or to help them? And that's awesome. First off, thank you for thinking that way. So let's get into that. I think there are some great ways that the airsoft community could actually encourage veterans to come in more and play more. One thing I have to give out is events that are veteran oriented. There are already some fields out there that are doing this. Big shout out to you guys. I've actually heard of one recently in Texas. I'm not going to give the name because I am not associated and haven't really talked to them and don't want to cross any paths of, shooting that out there. But they do a night event that's actually gives support to Wounded Warriors. So, a Wounded Warrior Project. So if you know of them and you know of fields or you own a field, bring it up to your field. Talk about doing a veteran encouraged event. And one way to get veterans out to the airfield is take some of the proceedings from that evening and give it to a nonprofit veteran organization. There are so many great ones out there. But I'm telling you, you want to get veterans out onto your field, participating, and possibly continuously coming back. You got to have a good cause. You throw out a good cause. Oh man, we'll show up in droves. I mean, sheesh, you have no idea. I have seen veterans show up because a dude has said, hey, I had a tree fall in my backyard last night. Next thing you know, you got 12 people out there with chainsaws. You got people out there ripping wood out and completely fixing it. This is how we are. We're always down for a good cause. So if you take the sport and somehow figure out how to encourage veterans to come to that event, I'm telling you, it's going to be a win-win situation for everybody. I mean, just saying. And I think it would be neat to see a little bit more of those types of events. And I think other people might enjoy watching it. So, all right, let's get to the next part of that. Let's encourage vets to talk about airsoft and coming into the hobby. Now, what I'm talking about is these, the influencers out there, the people that have pages. There are ways to get veterans encouraged into conversations. There's ways to reach out to other veterans. Just as an example, I'm going to give a big shout out right now to Airsoft GI. If you don't know about Airsoft GI, I guess maybe you're living under a rock somewhere. They're one of the biggest retailers of airsoft replicas, loadouts, equipment in the country. Straight out, they're amazing at what they do. You can find them at airsoftgi.com. They also have a YouTube page. And I have to say, when it comes to airsoft, there's a couple big companies out there that have pages, but I'm probably glued to Airsoft GI a lot more than others. And you can find them on YouTube. That is probably your easiest way to find it, is at Airsoft GI. You just search it on YouTube bar. You can also find them on Discord. They are amazing. They give giveaways every Tuesday and Thursday. You can check out their page to get more details about that. But what we're talking about here, even just a couple weeks ago, I watched Isaiah, big shout out to him, bring up veterans and the transition into airsoft and how it can help them. And you watch the live chat just light up. The reason being is that is one thing. Veterans love to talk to other veterans. We love to tell our stories. I mean, I have not met a veteran yet that doesn't have a good story. And you sit back, and when you're highlighting that, you're bringing that out and encourages veterans. And then next thing you know, that same veteran is going to go talk to another vet. And he's going to be like, dude, I was on YouTube. They were actually talking about us veterans last night and how this game can be cool for us and we can play. And why don't we go check out our local? That's how it spreads. It's not just spreading hobby of airsoft. It's also spreading veterans getting involved and possibly helping and getting some little relief with some things they're going. Again, I'm not saying PTSD is airsoft is everything for PTSD. I encourage counseling. I encourage getting help. I encourage leaning on that support system we talked about earlier. Your family, your friends, talk to them. But it is a great way to kind of have an encouraging hobby that bring into that support system. There's ways to incorporate it into the support system. So I think that's a big thing. Another way that we could help in the airsoft community is if you own a field or you run events or you happen to be a team leader of some sort for a team or you are localized to a field, think of starting a veteran team. I've seen a few of them out there. I think it's awesome. I think it's encouraging to see them, but I don't see enough of them. I mean, if you're a veteran and you're watching this right now, why not consider doing that? It is a great way to get out with your voice. You're being physically active. You're in an environment where you're having fun. And if you need to talk, it keeps you still close where you can talk. One of the hard spots of being a vet sometimes is you lose track of the other guys you served with or the other girls you served with. It's a great way to keep in contact. It's a great way to keep talking. And if you own a field and you're wanting to do team-based events, think about setting a team up for veterans. Encourage them. Let them know, hey, other vets, let your friends know we need more members that are veterans on this team. Gets more people out there playing, helps the field, helps everybody in the hobby. All right, so with closing, I'm going to talk a little bit about this straight to anybody, not just veterans, that feel down. They feel like they're lost, or you feel just like you don't know how to get back up sometimes. That is completely okay. I know I've felt it. I have suffered from it. There's moments I look in the mirror and go, why do you feel this way? You have such an amazing life around you. Why in the world would you feel this way? And I'd like to talk a little bit about that real quick. First off, I like to talk about talk or not talking. One thing it's neat about Airsoft and being around friends is remember to talk. If you are feeling that way, let one of your friends know. Lean on that support group I was talking about that we can build even with people in the Airsoft community. I have now gained friends because of Airsoft all around the world. I mean, it's amazing. I could right now pick up my phone and call somebody from Illinois to California to England and go, hey, I just need to talk. The other side of that is remember when that friend says that to set aside the time. That's what I mean by not talking. By going, hey, you don't have to talk, but I'm still here for you. Look at your people around you. Be caring. Pay attention to your other Airsoft people and players and teammates and anybody in general in the world. Always try to be that person that's willing to listen. And sometimes that means not talking. Sometimes that means just sitting there and going, I can't say, I don't know how you feel, but I'm here to listen to you. I want to hear what you have to say, what your story is. You know, a lot of people, and this gets linked to my next one, is no one left behind. That's a big motto for my unit in the service. It was a mantra. And I still feel it now as a veteran. Meaning, I'm always going to reach out. If I feel a friend or family member or anybody that I know is in that place of a dark spot, I'm going to be that person to reach out. And if you're in that dark spot, I don't care if we've never met once. Message me on here on YouTube. You can message me on Discord. Reach out. I will be that person that sits and listens. You have to remember, we not once did anything alone. That's just not how it is. 10.5 years of service. I've been from Baghdad. I've been to Afghanistan, a few other places. Not one time did I run a mission alone. We always work together. We work as a group. Just because we're out of the service doesn't mean that has to change. Let's use the Airsoft community as veterans to build more support for other veterans. We can take this to a whole new level. And that's my mission for you guys out there that are veterans or friends of veterans or family of veterans. Let's be that support system. Let's be that example. I know we can do it. Here's the other thing, and I'm going to be my last on this tonight. If you need help, please ask for help. It's okay. It's hard sometimes. I was a 13 Foxtrot in service. For those who don't know, that's a foreign observer, meaning that I was either attached to a team or I was sent out to find targets using an observation point. It was fancy stuff called math to be able to call on a target. Now, that wasn't always what I did. I had to learn to, as a lot of soldiers do, learn to do many different jobs on the service. But we don't talk a lot about emotions. We were kind of trained to continue and push forward with a mission that needed to be achieved. Well, this has changed. Our mission now needs to be talking, talking about what happened, talking about what we've seen, talking about how we feel about that. Ask for help if you need help. It's that simple. I'm going to actually put in the comments a couple helplines if anybody needs you. I encourage you, please call those helplines. Please, if this is that thing that you hear today, it says somebody cares. Ghost cares. Get help. I come from a family where I've not just felt PTSD, but I've also had family not get help. I've seen the other side of it. It's not worth it. Get help. It's okay. And I guarantee you, when you come out, that community, that support group you built is going to be right there for you. They're going to help build you up. And the veterans are going to do it too. All right, guys, thank you so much for sitting back and listening to a veteran's opinion on how airsoft and PTSD can correlate. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, each and every one of you out there. And remember, it costs nothing to ask a friend, heck, a complete stranger, how are you doing today? Now, with that being said, please don't forget to hit the like button, the share button, and the follow button down there. I really appreciate it. And as always, get your coast on.